Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, March 10th, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today, masculine energy. I want you all drinking your water. I want everybody to take a nap. Listen, I'm not surprised to see this right now. We saw a lot of this that was basically leading up on Friday. Masculine energy. This is a lot. This is a new moon that has a lot of energetic, there's a lot of emotionality coming into play on this right now. Masculine energy, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, finding those opportunities and experiences right now to allow for that productive release of the emotions is going to be incredibly important as I drop cards on the floor. Specifically due to the fact that we are seeing here that across all of the frequencies right now, this is some heavy, energetic, emotional work that the masculine energy is experiencing. Specifically, masculine energy in the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're recognizing has to do with the fact that you've been coming into better alignment with your emotional self while being in the heart of the divine union frequency. And that isn't necessarily always the easiest place to be. It does create a space or place that may feel like there's something here that's almost like the expression of that like raw vulnerable wound, if you will. That emotional ability to release right now, we see that for a lot of the masculine energy, it may sometimes feel somewhat overwhelming. One of the advantages that we're seeing, and we did recognize this over the last few days, was for a lot of the masculine energy, finding the productive spaces and places to be able to navigate, to find those positive places to put some of this emotional energy is going to be very important and supportive right now. We even recognize that we saw that for a lot of the masculine energy that was doing this work right now, it's almost creating a lot of this like creative channeling, if you will, coming through in figuring out new opportunities, new solutions in how to navigate the overwhelm. What we like right now with the energy of the masculine in the divine union frequency is even experiencing the emotional energetic overwhelm right now. It's not something that you're effectively running from. We're seeing here that your own ability to experience the overwhelm is something that you're getting better at, is what we're actually seeing here, because this is a masculine energy, if you will, that is again almost allowing themselves to encounter this so that they can find those new pathways. I'm literally like seeing like something energetically here with like masculine, like carving those like new neural grooves for themselves to help them. And that's the beauty of it, recognizing that when you're experiencing that emotional energetic overwhelm, it's not a good time to close off to that. That's the best time to just allow yourself to feel it, so that you can recognize how best to navigate it when it happens and you're not necessarily in a space or place that you're expecting it. This is almost the masculine energy allowing this to occur right now during this moment. And that's what's really lovely about this, even for the energy that's in the divine union frequency. Feminine, you may be seeing this right now. It's not the fact that there may be a masculine that's very heavy in their feels right now in the divine union frequency, but you're almost seeing the masculine energy taking those new tactics, taking those new approaches, getting more comfortable, if you will, with being with the recognition point that when you're in touch or when you're working through that emotional intelligence, it's going to be natural to have those moments that it can feel somewhat overwhelming. What is the feminine energy doing right now to help facilitate a masculine that's learning how to process these things? They're creating a space that is articulating to the masculine that as long as you're in a modality wherein you're not subjecting someone to your emotions, but you are expressing them, then it's entirely okay to feel that ability to express those emotions in whatever way. I'm getting here, feminine, going in whatever way you'd like, so long as it isn't subjecting someone to them. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency right now. This is masculine energy. This is going to be a little bit harder to bear for some of the masculine energy coming into the divine union frequency. Why? Because this heart opening, if you will, this heart opening has a lot to do with the past. We were seeing and recognizing that over the last few days. That observation, that perspective, that clarity that you're reaching coming into the divine union frequency right now, masculine. I told you, I even warned you prior to this reading beginning, make sure that you're giving and you're looking at that past experience or that past version of self with empathy, with care, with grace, because we see here that for the masculine energy that's moving forward in this way, coming into the point of understanding is always a very difficult path, because you have to look down and where you came from on the way and seeing that past version of self. I even see here there's a lot of that energetic grieving process that's almost happening here for a lot of the masculine energy experiencing this, because this is that profound feeling of overwhelm in holding space and joy, not saying that one does not appreciate where you are presently, but also feeling that energetic anxiety or tension or grief or sadness on how much it took to be able to come into that modality. It's almost that feeling of recognizing that you don't let all of that go when you find the divine union frequency. It's almost that feeling or sensation of having to carry it all forth with yourself. So we see even now that may be somewhat emotionally overwhelming or triggering for some of the masculine energy that's experiencing it. So this is a lot of heavy energetic work right now, even for the energy coming into divine union. Masculine, being able to ground, being able to sit and really embrace this energetic expression, recognizing that it is safe to do so in the divine union frequency. Even this may be feeling like something that is new to you. Feminine energy, seeing and experiencing a masculine, having this heart expansion, it may be a moment that you may be seeing a masculine that may feel somewhat energetically overwhelmed right now. Recognizing feminine, if you're seeing a masculine in this modality right now, that overwhelm is almost the expression of a masculine whose heart is opening, being able to help them facilitate and find ways or pathways to help navigate that is really important right now, because we see here, I want to make sure that there isn't energy that potentially falls into separation because you see the emotional overwhelm of a masculine and you assume that that's a masculine that's drawing back out of the divine union frequency. Being able to create that secure or safe space for the masculine energy to feel those feelings is going to be very valuable and important at this time. I'm going to say the same message that I just said for the energy in the divine union frequency. It is perfectly fine to feel what you're feeling so long as you're not subjecting another to them. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is what we were seeing that was so difficult for so much of the feminine energy in separation right now. Why is this difficult? Because we told you that a lot of the energy right now that is moving forward away from something that they feel that sense of something not being healed. It is not due to a lack of love for the feminine. It's not due to a lack of care. It's due to a feminine energy that is potentially seeing a masculine that has not mastered this quality of purpose within the self. This is the feminine energy that is almost basically trying to articulate to masculine and saying, if you have not learned the difference in being able to express your emotions, if you're still moving in the state or space of subjecting someone to your emotionality, that is that inviolability point for a lot of the feminine energy, because that is almost showing the difference between what the feminine feels like they themselves can correct for versus what they feel like they have to leave themselves available to in order to perpetually continue forth into an experience. That is why for a lot of the feminine energy right now, there is that moment of mourning, but also potential hope. That is why we see that for a lot of the feminine energy moving away from masculine energy, in this modality, we are really seeing that the major specific place that the feminine is potentially doing this right now is if the masculine energy is in this modality and is not able to recognize that they are doing so, that they don't recognize or they don't see anything wrong with being in that modality wherein they may be effectively subjecting others to their emotions as opposed to articulating on them, as opposed to identifying them, and opposed to saying, I feel this, as opposed to subjecting someone to how one feels. So for a lot of the feminine energy, this is almost coming into that point where I told you this is becoming a path of healing from an energy, and this is the narration that the feminine energy is telling oneself to help them forward at a time that they don't necessarily want or desire to go forward. They feel like there's a level or degree of unfairness here. But this is how the feminine energy is almost like suturing that wound for themselves energetically by saying, again, if this person has not mastered this ability of self, if this energy is not recognizing that this is something that needs to be learned to facilitate healthy partnership or positive healthy partnership, this is the feminine saying, I am out of options. There is nothing that I can do if that energy is not in a space or place of recognizing what needs to change. Masculine, if this is a modality wherein, again, you are coming into some state or space of trying to heal, trying to move away from a connection, not wanting to build a connection with a feminine that is almost forcing you to kind of create a world of illusion around them, or a feminine that is trying to contort too much to match your own truth, coming into a space or place of saying like, I'm willing, I can accommodate that, I can change, but almost seeing and recognizing the feminine like hitting against their own boundaries in order to do so. This is why we see that this is almost feels like such a heart expanding, opening gesture for a masculine that's moving away from that, even at a time that it feels like the abundance of love that they're putting forth to something right now. Because that is the masculine in separation, experiencing and feeling that heart opening exercise in saying like, wow, this hurts. This is hard, but I'm doing this an energetically, emotionally hard thing because I know that it is best to do. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Fool. We love these two cards together. We love these two cards together, especially for the energy and separation right now, because what does this effectively recognize? This is effectively showing, to a certain extent, the energy of someone that feels the overwhelm, but that isn't changing their course. That is building that sense of purpose. This is for a lot of masculine energy in separation right now, having that feeling, like feeling your heart expanding and opening, almost leaving space for the energy or the love that you feel for someone, even while you're recognizing that you're doing the right thing going forward. It is creating that space of a masculine that is reaffirming their pathwork right now, because that is the sensation of someone saying, this is hard, but I'm energetically doing the right thing. I'm doing that work that I know is necessary at this time. Feminine energy, you're going through the same exact thing right now, because what is the feminine energy in separation doing? This is feminine energy that's almost saying to themselves, they're looking at a connection with the masculine if they're moving away from them. They are affirming at a time that they desire to go back and saying, I can't go back, especially if this is a masculine energy that does not recognize the difference between expressing their emotions as opposed to subjecting someone to their emotions. This is a feminine energy saying, I am holding every hope that if I continue further down my path, someday, perhaps this energy, I will encounter them here. They will have figured out how to do this work. And the important thing for the feminine is saying, I recognize that they're not going to do it for me. They have to learn to do it for themselves. And that's why we see a lot of this feminine energy, even though it hurts. They're reaffirming their commitment to move forward in this way, because this is almost that feeling of saying, I hope to see them again someday. I hope our paths cross someday. And they've done that work that'll turn this into this. Continuing, energy that's coming into divine union right now, this is that sensation of the energy of masculine that isn't falling into separation at a moment or opportunity where you come into divine union and suddenly you realize and recognize everything that you could have done in the past that may have been resulted in a better outcome had you learned these things prior. This is the energetic grief that the masculine carries into the divine union. The moment that you move forward in divine union, the moment you understand the level and degree of openness, the heart opening exercise, the trust fall of coming into divine union, something that can be energetically devastating is recognizing all the spaces and the places in the past that the masculine, you may have felt like if you had brought that forth, it may have resulted in a different outcome. But we see here, what is the energy of the masculine doing at this time that is staying in the divine union frequency? You are staying steadfast on your intentionality, even through that heart expanding point. Because we even saw that some of the masculine energy, having some of that look back, being like, well, what if I done that? What if I done that? That was that moment that you were almost bringing yourself back into like your own like presence, going like, hey, focus. That's falling back out again. That's doing the same thing that may have led to like some of those like less intentional choices in the past, right? Being able to stay committed to one's own intentionality right now. This is the masculine coming into divine union, focusing on their intentionality, even at a moment of feeling an experiential, energetic overwhelm, allowing it just to be something that is embodied, making sure that you're taking a lot of care of yourself for right now, masculine, as you're experiencing this is very vital and important. Feminine energy, seeing a masculine energy move in this modality is the affirmation that you're potentially needing and experiencing. For a lot of the feminine, this is that moment. If this is almost leading to a masculine energetically opening up to you more, but also not running from their feelings, going in through that hard work of feeling a lot of that energetic feeling, and the masculine almost like talking through it, working through if they're pulling away or if they're feeling overwhelmed, seeing a masculine that's not subjecting you to their emotions, but instead talking through it. This is the feminine energy, feeling that affirmation of saying, this is why the feminine feels comfortable moving forward with masculine into divine union, because it's the feminine that may even be saying to themselves, even at a time that they're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, they don't let it steer them off their own course. This is not a masculine energy that self-sabotages when they're coming into an energetic overwhelm point. This is a masculine energy that almost redoubles or reaffirms their commitment even as they're feeling what could feel emotionally difficult or energetically heavy. Masculine and feminine coming into, that are in the heart of the divine union frequency, this is the same energy here. For the masculine energy in the heart of the divine union frequency, one of the things that's intriguing about this is almost masculine energy that is allowing themselves to experience these energetic overwhelm points, but almost coming into that space of trying to find, what did I say? New neural networks, trying to find new directionality points, not running, recognizing that the purpose isn't to avoid being energetically overwhelmed. That's an impossibility point. Rather, just allowing oneself to move with like intentionality, allowing yourself just to feel your feelings, even if they're overwhelming, is what is helping the masculine now find new productive path work to help them be able to navigate an energetic overwhelm. So this is almost the masculine energy, like doing that work in the divine union of like building that energetic spiritual muscle. Because yeah, it's just like a muscle. You can't work your arm out unless you like move your arm. You can't navigate your emotions unless you feel them. So for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is about like reprocessing, finding that opportunity. And again, welcoming it when it comes, as opposed to just feeling like, oh, I just need to close myself off from it. Masculine and feminine energy, seeing a masculine doing this work, again, further affirmation of a masculine on that path of self-discovery in the heart of the divine union frequency, because this is a feminine energy that's feeling that similar energetic commitment of an energy. And what are we seeing here? This is a feminine energy that when they see the masculine going through some kind of energetic or emotional overwhelm, is it creating a moment or space of the feminine like moving in like any other place? No. Feminine becomes resilient. Feminine energy almost affirms the masculine, saying it's not your job to be emotionally strong all the time. Because when you're emotionally strong, when you're feeling overly emotional, I am here to pick up the weight. I am here to pick up the slack. I am here to help in that capacity and in that facility. So we see now that this is the combination of the energy of the feminine almost taking a little bit more of that resilient role as the masculine goes through what can be best described some kind of energetic or emotional like overwhelm point that they're doing their best to find new ways of navigating. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 10 of Wands. It's heavy. This is heavy. This is a heavy new moon. This is a new moon that feels like a full moon. I know. It's a new moon that feels an awful lot like a full moon. I mean, that's what we get. That's what we get. That's what we get sometimes. Sometimes we get that. We got one of those right now. Because what are we seeing? It is the type of new moon that feels like it's the purging, right? The only way you can purge something is it's got to come up. It's got to energetically come up. It's got to spiritually come up. So again, it is creating that hypersensitivity right now. And it's going to be a little bit harder for the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because the masculine energy that's going through this right now, you are feeling the full weight of the energy or the emotions that you've been carrying thus far. Like you can almost feel them in a tangible way. And so for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that is almost like amplifying the like your own sensitivities. It's amplifying your own emotions. And a lot of it has to do with something about like the past work, how far you've been moving right now. And I told you there was something about the last couple of days with this new moon hitting that may have felt like you hit a little bit of this like energetic or emotional exhaustion point. But what is the masculine energy and the divine union frequency doing right now? You're strength training with it. You're utilizing it. What did I say? You're taking that and you're experiencing that moment of allowing yourself just to feel it. You're not trying to close it off. You're just allowing yourself to experience and to feel what you're feeling, almost as a moment of saying to oneself, well, what happens if I just let myself feel this? What if I don't do anything with it? Do you see this? What if I don't do anything with it? What if I just let myself hold it? What if how much more energetically? Because that is the feeling, that is the expression of the heart opening. Feminine, if feminine's seeing a masculine doing this right now, I just want you to be very kind, feminine, because I'm telling you, this is something that the feminine just kind of comes out of the box with. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is the feminine energy that may be helping a lot of the masculine energy through this right now. And for some of the feminine energy, it might be a little hard, because if I got to say, there's a little bit about for the feminine energy going through this being like, what do you mean you don't know how to feel your feelings? like if you're like not like just feeling your feelings and not doing anything. Like it's almost that moment of being like, yes, it's okay. Like you can just feel them. Like nothing is going to happen if you just let yourself feel your feelings. Like it's okay. You know, it's like one of those moments. And we see for the feminine energy, this is something that feels a little bit easier because it's just more in the natural inclination of the feminine to be able to do that type of work, right? That the energies themselves have their complementary aspects, and that's how they help each other. They teach each other how to do the other thing. Masculine and feminine energy that are coming into the divine union frequency, this modality, even now, it feels like, this is what I'm telling you with like, this is the breakthrough point. A lot of energy coming into divine union right now, and it feels very overwhelming. I can already hear like some of the masculine that's going through this right now being like, the past is the past is the past. There's no going back to the past. Because what often happens once you enter the divine union frequency is your perception shifts. You can't see things the way that you saw them before. How can you? You can see now from a different perspective. And that's why we see for some of the masculine energy that's feeling this for the first time, it's okay if it feels happy, but also like a grieving process. That's okay. It's okay. You can be in those two modalities, because that's that beautiful moment of elegance when you realize that like as you move forward, there's always those points that are going to harken back to like what you've left behind. So for a lot of the masculine energy going through this for the first time, this is almost one of those moments being like, wow, I didn't feel this way before. I didn't understand something. I can't go back that way. I can only go forward holding space in this way. Feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency with masculine in this capacity. This is this modality that, again, if you're seeing and experiencing a masculine that, again, is like, you know, feeling that this could be feminine energy that is seen and masculine energy like run in the other direction when they start feeling like this. But for masculine energy to be in that modality, to almost, again, not subjecting the feminine to some of those energetic overwhelm points, but instead articulating, speaking their feelings to the feminine, reaffirming their own commitment, even as they're like talking about that like breakthrough, that energetic breakthrough. That's feminine feeling that further, like that deepening into the heart of the divine union frequency, because this is that breakthrough moment of a feminine seeing that like even at a moment of an energetic or emotional overwhelm, this isn't masculine running in the opposite direction. This is masculine energy that is utilizing their own power of intentionality and purpose to move forward even as their heart is opening. Masculine and feminine energy in separation right now. This is the energy of someone moving forward in separation through what could be best described as a moment of deep, energetic understanding. A lot of the feminine energy that's moving forward in this way, you can see why this is such a difficult path for a lot of the feminine energy, because this is almost that feeling that, again, this is not feminine energy wanting to leave masculine energy behind in any capacity. This is the feminine energy moving into that act of love, trying to say to a masculine to a certain extent, I want to build with you. I want to grow with you. But you need to understand the difference. If there's a masculine energy that the feminine is trying to heal with, and there's a masculine that is subjecting them to their emotions, as opposed to having the gift of being able to express them, The difference between subjecting others to your emotionality versus being able to just simply express how one is feeling. The difference of being able to sit with oneself, the emotional intelligence, doing that path work. This is the feminine energy saying, I cannot teach you what you refuse to acknowledge that you need to learn. So for the feminine energy that's going through this right now, if this is a feminine energy, seeing a masculine that doesn't recognize that this is occurring, that is just returning to the feminine in that modality. This is why we see a lot of the feminine energy is just kind of leaving something where it is, because this is that sensation of feeling of the feminine trying to say, my greatest hope and aspiration is that you will find this for yourself someday, and you will know where to find me. That if this version is here, then hopefully this version will be out there somewhere in the future, someday. But this is the feminine almost saying, I need to leave you here so that you can learn this, because this is the feminine coming into a point of pathwork and healing, saying that is not something you learn for another. That is something that you learn for yourself. And if I stay with you in that modality where you're subjecting others to your emotionality instead of learning how to express it, then I'm just facilitating you staying in a space or place of being unhealed. And that's why we see a lot of the feminine energy almost trying to express this even as they move forward with a heavy heart. Masculine energy in separation right now, if there is a modality where you tried to build an own honesty and openness with a feminine, if you move towards a feminine and not wanting to build some kind of path of illusion, but instead was really trying to come into that modality wherein you were telling a feminine, like, I don't want to be in that space where I build this like false reality for you, because I realize and recognize that that's just a false reality I'm putting myself in as well. And if that led to a separation point, some of the masculine energy right now is doing that hard work of either experiencing a moment or modality of not being able to go back to the person that was building that world of illusion around the feminine, or potentially seeing a feminine that's trying to come towards you right now and they're trying to twist or contort too much. You can almost see it. You can almost see them trying to like put that energetic mask on themselves, saying, no, I'm in alignment with you. I really am. And for the masculine that is discerned that that is not the case, we almost see here that that's a masculine saying, I love you, but not like this. Not under these circumstances. And the gift of the emotional overwhelm for a masculine to release energetically a feminine, to say, my love for you is such that I don't want to see you fall off your own path to be in order to facilitate being in alignment with me. That is the gift of the masculine, feeling a profound energetic expansion. Almost again, even over this weekend, struggling over the desire to go back to something, putting that heavy one foot in front of the other, the determination of one's own intentionality, even when it is energetically hard. And this is what Stoicism is, my friends. This is what Stoicism is. You don't be stoic when you feel like being stoic. You're stoic when you don't feel like you want to be stoic. You're stoic when it hurts. You're stoic when the energy's there and you're just feeling the well of emotions. But the intentionality is guiding a lot of the masculine energy and separation, saying, I am following my heart. I am following my intentions. I am doing what I know I need to do. And that is leading to a lot of the energy of the masculine coming into a lot of deep, profound healing, even if it's very emotionally overwhelming. Masculine, and continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here, look, oh my gosh, this is, we've got here our 8 of Cups. Our 8 of Cups. Look at this energy. This is the affirmation of commitment. This is that feeling, and this is why, like, the weight of moving forward and doing what you know is the thing that you need to do, moving and leading forth with that intention. Whoever said it was easy? It's not easy. It's hard. It's difficult. It's painful. It can sometimes feel like it's excruciating, right? Because it doesn't articulate. When you're doing this right, it's not the moment of saying in the past and looking at the past and saying, I don't care about them anymore. I'm going to stick to my intentions. That's not healing. That's not healing. No, healing is the gesture of looking at someone and saying, I can care about you profoundly. And I need to move away from you because I know that that's what's right. Sometimes the act of healing means walking away from something or someone in order to facilitate that act of allowing them to come into that sense of deeper healing. That is where the hard work begins. And we see that for a lot of the energy right now, feeling that expression, that heart opening, it is having different effects on the masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine, it feels like that painful moment of holding all the room in your heart for someone, but having to say to someone, you can't come in like this. I can't allow you in this capacity. It wouldn't be right. It would not create my home. I would not create a space of healing for you here, because I would just be allowing you to come towards me in the moment of your sickness. So what is the feminine saying to the masculine in this moment? Come back when you found this for yourself. Come back when you've healed. Come back when you recognize the difference between subjecting someone to your emotions versus being able to tell someone how you feel. This is the feminine saying, and don't do it for me. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. And then find me. That's almost like what a lot of this feminine energy is saying right now. For the masculine right now in separation, what do we see the masculine energy is doing? This is the masculine energy saying, this is hard. If masculine energy is moving away from a feminine, that you feel like you're on different paths, this is the masculine saying, this hurts like hell. This is painful. This is energetically difficult. It can feel, the masculine can feel their heart. Is your heart breaking or is your heart expanding? Is your heart breaking or is it expanding? Is it that moment of saying, I'm doing the right thing, even if it is difficult? That is that moment of the commitment to the pathwork saying, find me. I hope one day we will be on the same path, but right now the bridge too far is articulating that we are on different bridges. So what is the energy doing? Is the energy forcing someone on? They're saying, no, we need to go forward. We need to go deeper, and hopefully at some point we will find each other at some point moving forward. That is the gesture of healing. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is the weight of what you feel like you are leaving behind as you move into the divine union frequency. I know it's heavy. I know it's hard. I know it can feel very overwhelming to a certain degree, because that modality, that perception change, the minute you experience the divine union frequency, it changes everything. It sometimes even makes you feel that like rockiness and shakiness of the commitment that you're moving into. But what is the energy doing right now, even as they feel that? Are they hiding that from each other? No. They're almost saying to each other, yeah, I know, I feel the same way. This is energy that holds space and recognizes and values that anything that came into the past is not like you throw all your bags into the ocean when you come into the divine union frequency. You bring it with you. And that's that moment of, again, supporting each other, sharing in one another's burden, sharing in one another's grief, but reaffirming the commitment of pathwork in relationality to the direction that you're moving up towards right now. That is that recommitment. And that is that purpose, because that is the energy almost saying, it's hard, it's difficult. There are days that it's overly emotionally overwhelming, but I choose you again and again and again, because you are someone who has shown me that you know how to do something difficult. What is the energy in the divine union, coming into the divine union frequency, almost saying to each other? They're saying, you have shown me that you are someone that utilizes your judgment, that utilizes your intention, that allows that intention to speak even at moments that you may be feeling energetically or emotionally overwhelmed. Masculine and feminine. Masculine, having that modality and almost feeling that space or place, not letting that be a point where you break and run away from the divine union frequency, but almost pushing forward deeper into it. This is that feeling of personal breakthrough for the masculine. Feminine, seeing a masculine, embodying that. That is the commitment and the feeling of a feminine, feeling like they've found a masculine who really understands the difference of moving with intentionality as opposed to moving in a moment of fear or allowing that fear to embody or articulate the directionality that someone is moving. Masculine and feminine that are in the divine union frequency, this is that energetic moment that we see that a lot of the energy, even in the divine union frequency, a lot of the masculine feeling the weight of this Pisces new moon. But what is the masculine energy doing right now in the heart of the divine union frequency? You're getting better at this. You're recognizing, you're feeling the value of being in a space or place where it is emotionally safe for you to be emotionally vulnerable. even when that feels overwhelming. Because for the masculine energy that's learned the power and grace of being able to discuss, to speak on their emotions instead of subjecting others to their emotions, that is that moment that almost like says the divine union frequency is one that says, as long as you can describe how you're feeling instead of subjecting others to what you're feeling, you can be all up in your feelings at all the time. You can have all your feelings all you want. You can eat as much cake. You can eat as much cake, energetic cake, as you want, as long as you don't throw it in someone's face as you're doing it. That's that moment that almost allows the masculine energy right now to do a lot of this work in the divine union of almost experiencing that moment of being like, this is good. I'm feeling a lot right now. It's really hard. I kind of want to cry. I'm going to like let myself feel this, because like that's that moment of saying to oneself and being like, what's the worst that can happen if I feel that? Like, it's not like, am I going to pop like a balloon? You know, that's the moment, like the masculine energy is like potentially going through this right now and experiencing that sense of feeling like you're training your heart space, like just like saying like, I can do this, like almost like a muscle, right? Feminine seeing a masculine doing that as well right now. That is that moment of feminine being like, well, yeah, that's what we did. Like, this is, I have to say, the problem with some of this for the feminine is the feminine just being like, well, yeah, this is just like, yes, obviously, this is how it works. Continuing. But again, what is the, no, I'm being a little funny here. What is the feminine doing here? What the feminine's really doing is saying to the masculine, you can do that, and I will be here to help you. Like, I will, when you are weak, I can be strong. This is the gift of the feminine, becoming resilient, allowing for the emotional expansion of the masculine. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 4 of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. This is that moment and that modality of truly valuing the energetic space that allows you an opportunity of an ability to be in that point of energetic or emotional overwhelm. What did I just say that's happening right now for the masculine? That appreciation point of feeling like the energy around you creates a space that it is safe for you to be in your emotional overwhelm is the gift of the divine union frequency. Because again, as long as you're not subjecting someone to your emotionality, you can feel the full weight of what you're experiencing and expressing. And that is the feminine also experiencing that to a certain degree. This is feminine potentially also helping the masculine on that path work while also taking the lesson for themselves. Because this is the feminine energy that's recognizing that they themselves, if they're going through this right now, is almost that moment of saying, well, if that's something that I want from another energy, I need to also embody that quality and characteristic. So we see here that both of these energies, what are they doing again in the divine union frequency? Acting as perfect mirrors for another. What do I mean by a perfect mirror? Is a perfect mirror reflect someone else's negative side? No. No. That's not what we do. We work as a perfect mirror by being the energy that we hope to reflect in others. And even now, what are we seeing? Is this a feminine seeing a masculine going into an overwhelm, being like, I'm going to do that too? No. Right? No. That's not how you act as a good mirror to someone. When someone is feeling difficult, you don't just show them more difficulty. You create that moment of reassurance. You create that moment of stability. Right? So the feminine is becoming more resilient right now, even as they're experiencing some of that overwhelm, right? Because especially if this is a masculine that's going through a lot of this emotional overwhelm right now in the divine union frequency, because this is the feminine almost taking that silk to steel approach and says, when you're soft, one of us has to be strong. And when I'm soft, one of us has to be strong. Being able to feel like that moment of, again, the alignment that creates a space of recognizing the difference between how you're feeling versus seeing what someone else might need at that time. Masculine feeling and seeing this expression in a feminine is like, again, further reassurance of feeling that there is a safe space that you can inhabit with the feminine. And that is what's allowing you to potentially navigate a space of being able to feel your full feelings, because you know that even if something like, even if that led to a moment of too much, you know that that feminine energy is there to support you through it. Masculine and feminine coming into the divine union frequency. This is that modality of feminine. If this is a feminine energy that is seeing a masculine go through an energetic overwhelm, but instead of subjecting the feminine to that expression, is almost articulating on it. This is the feminine energy feeling, again, that further sense of confidence and commitment in terms of moving forward energetically with someone, because this is feminine truly feeling safe with a masculine. And that feeling of safety is best articulated and amplified in a masculine, that not just the fact that they're able to stay and maintain an even keel, but even when they experience something that is energetically overwhelming, this isn't masculine subjecting the feminine to it, but almost again explaining, articulating, clarifying to the feminine, this is what feminine considers true strength is. Because this is effectively to feminine articulation of a masculine that knows how to protect the feminine from the masculine energy that is the masculine. That is the masculine. This is that moment of the masculine that is able to understand and recognize that the best way you can protect a feminine from a masculine is not worrying about other masculine energy. It's making sure that the feminine feels safe even when you're in a moment of emotional overwhelm that doesn't articulate or amplify or create something that the feminine feels unstable in. So feminine seeing a masculine that's doing that energetic work and recognizing that they do it for themselves, but also the fact that it makes it so much safer a space for the feminine to feel safe and protected around a masculine. This is the energy of a feminine feeling doubly confident that when they see a masculine moving through positive energetic overwhelms, it reaffirms the resiliency of the feminine, same as we saw as the energy that was coming into divine union. Masculine, having this energetic breakthrough point, coming into divine union, having this observation point of everything that you've kind of moved behind or changed or let go of, it could be creating a moment that feels a little staggering right now. Is it shaking the energetic purpose of the masculine right now? No. This is almost that moment of the masculine saying, I can feel a lot of things, I can hold a lot of grief, I can recognize there's a lot of changes happening, but that doesn't mean I'm not staying intentional in terms of my purpose and in terms of my path. Masculine and feminine energy in separation, I'm going to say it the same way. What are we seeing here? Masculine and feminine saying, I'm feeling a lot of feelings, but those feelings, they're not pulling you off of your path. They're reaffirming your path, right? For the feminine energy, especially if this is a feminine energy that's moving forward, and even as they move forward, the masculine subjecting them to their emotions instead of expressing their emotions. This is almost the feminine energy feeling like there's a point of not even being able to respond energetically to someone if that is effectively occurring. Because again, that's not the feminine energy wanting to facilitate an environment that feels like it condones or can operate in a space of having something productive when someone is subjecting you to their emotions as opposed to being able to articulate on them. So we see even that moment right now, this is almost feeling like that energetic act of love a lot of the feminine's feeling this time, saying, I'm not holding back because I don't care. I'm holding back because I want something better. I'm holding back because I'm making peace with the fact that you haven't found peace within yourself. And that's almost that feeling of the feminine moving forward, feeling reaffirmed and saying, when they're ready, they'll know where to find me. When this becomes this, I'll be the first one to know, because this is not that right now. Masculine going through the same energetic cycle right now, if in separation, if this is a moment that you're feeling a heart opening exercise at a time that you're releasing something because you realize that it's not in alignment to you, being able to hold that space, to feel that expansion, recognizing the value and power of that, but almost like reaffirming your own commitment. That is that moment of like asking for courage in a moment, saying like, yeah, I know that this is hard, but that doesn't mean that it's not the direction or desire I aspire to go into. And that is also, I told you, these energies are basically like walking right towards each other if in separation, because they're both doing that hard work and saying, I'm doing something to release someone for the sake of healing, not to hurt someone, not walking away from someone to hurt someone, walking away from someone because one feels energetically in their heart space that that is the best movement to be able to move into, trying to facilitate that healing gesture. Clarification between our King of Cups in our reversal and our Fool in our reversal. One card to clarify, please. clarification coming through right now. See that? See what that is what energetic release looks like. That is what energetic release looks like, because that is the energetic release that isn't that release of saying like, I don't care about you, I'm just letting you out there. This is that energetic release of saying to oneself, I have karmically cleared this. I have karmically cleared this with myself. That is that energy of saying, I have done everything that I can. I have learned everything I can. I've done everything I can do to try to facilitate healing. The only thing that is left to be done is to effectively move away. The only way to heal someone is to effectively move away and hope that they find that healing on their own, right? That's why we see a lot of the energy of the feminine going through this right now. That is that moment of saying, I feel like this is the right thing to do because it feels like it's the only thing that is left to do. While for a lot of the masculine energy in that modality, that same sensation, that same energetic feeling, that same moment of saying, I feel that heart expansion, but it doesn't mean that I'm moving in the wrong direction. It just means that I feel a lot and I'm reaffirming my commitment. That is what is like effectively energetically allowing for a lot of this clearing up of karmic cycle. And it's heavy. It's dense energy. But I told you, like, that's that release. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. That observation point, that recognition point, masculine, this moment that you're potentially moving into divine union, even like recognizing that you're releasing some past version of self. You're seeing that feeling. You're recognizing that like you're almost leaving some of that past self behind, even beyond your own ability to, because it has to do with your own perceptual shifts right now. This isn't feeling like you're being forced into a commitment, and because of that, you have to put away childish things. This is the masculine energy entering the divine union frequency and saying, I can't ever think in the way I used to think again. Like, I've reached that moment. I understand now. I see what like I need to do, right? So we see even now that ability, it reaffirms one's own path to a certain extent. And it also is reaffirming a lot of the energetic commitments coming into the divine union frequency, because what is the energy trying to articulate to people that aren't in it? Especially because there's this moment of being like, oh, you know, partnership, oh, ball and chain, oh, you're confined now. This is masculine almost going like, no, you don't understand. This is where I'm free. This is where I'm energetically free. I can be my full self. I can be my vulnerable, authentic self. I can take off my armor. This is the only place I can be free. This is the only place I can find myself, is in the frequency. So even now for the masculine energy, looking back, being like, I didn't understand that then. I get it now. Masculine and feminine energy, seeing a masculine that recognizes, that understands that embraces that feels that perceptual shift. That's the feminine energy, feeling that level or degree of like energetic accomplishment to a certain extent, because that's the affirmation of, again, a feminine feeling the difference between feeling like there's a masculine that you have to like, you know, try to like bring into divine union, versus a masculine that's like willingly desiring or aspiring to be there. Masculine and feminine that are in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is that modality that we're effectively seeing at this time that can be best amplified in recognizing what, like, this in itself for the feminine, seeing the masculine in this modality, seeing and feeling that energetic or emotional expression from a masculine in this way. This is that moment that we see that for a lot of the feminine, this is that sensation that feels so groundbreaking. It's the same energy as the energy I just described that was coming into the heart of the divine union frequency. Because this is the feminine energy, if you will, that's almost recognizing and seeing that the masculine energy is almost like advanced so far in the divine union frequency that it's not just the fact that the masculine has gotten better at articulating their own feelings when they're in a state of overwhelm. It's almost that moment where it's like they're able to sit with their feelings longer, right? It's not that they're not able to feel them. They're just allowing themselves to feel them and experience them and find new ways of trying to like build those paths here. And we see even now, this could be leading to a lot of that energetic breakthrough energy that we saw for the energy in the divine union frequency, right? because this is that moment that we're almost identifying and we're almost discussing here. We can almost see these discussions that are occurring in terms of the feminine helping the masculine through these, but almost feeling to a certain extent that this is feminine almost taking, this is almost feminine energy taking some kind of energetic notes from a masculine's book that is doing this, right? So this is almost the feminine energy, seeing a masculine navigating that energetic overwhelm, working through a situation or circumstance of communicating how they're feeling instead of subjecting others to how they're feeling. And this is the feminine going, they're getting so good at that. I need to get good at that too, right? This is beautiful. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool and its reversal in combination with our 10 of Wands. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, this is a bit of this challenging space that we're seeing right now, particularly with this 5 of Swords energy. Masculine and feminine energy that are in the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're effectively seeing right now has to still do with a lot. I told you there's a lot of energetic clearing up that's happening here. I told you the energy that's outside of the divine union frequency, this is leading to a lot of breakthroughs. In the divine union frequency, this is leading to a lot of plans and path work going forward, right? Especially because we saw that a lot of that intensity, a lot of that heaviness that was leading to breakthroughs, the energy coming into divine union and the energy in separation, this is the affirmation on path work. This is like that feeling of release or that sense of like completion coming through around situations or circumstances. And this was that example of the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency doing that hard, heavy work. How are they doing it? Assessing, looking at past situations, planning better for the future, right? This was literally what we saw the energy in the divine union frequency doing over the last week, which was, again, lightening the energetic burden, feeling like that moment of releasing whatever feels like it wasn't necessarily necessary, while also reaffirming the commitment to what things, the shape that things are going to go look like as you go forward from this point. And so being able to do that work right now is what is effectively lightening the burden. Both of the energies in the divine union frequency are energetically doing that right now. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. I told you this is the expression of the heart opening exercise for both masculine and feminine. This is why if you're just entering the divine union, it can feel so overwhelming because the perception of the past shifts tremendously. Is it leading energy to fall back into chasing after the past, coming into the divine union frequency? No. This is the balance point of being able to hold space, of being able to find the way, of leaving something energetically open, being able to hold space for the perception of the past shifting, because you're looking back on that and you're utilizing that almost as a reference point in terms of facilitating your healing further, while also staying committed on the path ahead. That ability to utilize that expression or that connection to the past in a positive, productive way while reaffirming your commitment forward. That is how you expand a heart space. So for the energy in the divine union frequency, being able to find that balance and navigate that, it's hard work. It's energetically difficult. But we see that the energy that's working forward in that way, you're doing a lot of that heavy work because you're recognizing and you're feeling the sense that you're not doing it alone. You're doing it in the energy of the divine union frequency with the counterpart that you're moving forward with. Masculine and feminine energy in separation. This is the energetic lifting of the same modality, but this is that sense of, and this is why it's heavier right now if you're in separation, because it's not that you're doing the same exact path work as the energy I just described that's in divine union or in the heart of the divine union. You're just having to carry it at the moment entirely on your own back, or you're not. I hope you understand and recognize that this is us all doing that work with you. But what we're effectively seeing, as it were, was again that moment that you're moving in the energetic, you're moving in the same energetic signature of the energy in the frequency by affirming to oneself that again, you're not letting yourself go back to the past expression of something if it isn't healed. You're almost reaffirming your own commitment that this is the only way to heal something. And that desire and aspiration to heal something and recognizing that the path leads forward is reaffirming a lot of this energetic commitment right now to move forward, even if it's difficult, but feeling the confidence of your own path work, that you feel the recognition point that you will either energetically find someone that is on that same path, or that the energy that you desire and aspire to heal will one day find themselves on that same path. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of wands in combination with our 8 of cups. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. It's, here's the thing about it right now. And this is why I keep seeing that. This is why it feels so energetically heavy, but it also feels like this, this is that modality. I told you a lot of the energy and separation right now. This is that feeling of energetic surrender. But it's not, I don't mean surrender like I'm giving up. No, this is a surrender saying I'm surrendering to the inevitability of what I know I need to do to facilitate another person's healing. Right? This is almost that. And that, why? Because that is that ability of letting go of something, even if you care about it, with the observation of sometimes saying the things that we care about, we need to come into that release process, because that's that moment of looking at someone and saying, I'm doing what I know is best for us, right? And that moment itself, I can see why it's so energetically difficult. We even see that a lot of energy might be trying to articulate this to someone right now, because that's that moment that feels like that expression of love that's coming through, that's almost trying to say to someone and saying, look, if I'm releasing you right now, if I'm moving forward, recognize that I'm not doing that out of love. I'm doing that with all the love, all the empathy in my heart, because that is that moment of opportunity of saying to someone, I hope to find you on my path someday. I hope to find you where we need to be able to facilitate that positive gesture. For a lot of the feminine energy that's looking towards a masculine, if this is a masculine that's still moving in that modality of subjecting others to their emotionality instead of being able to do that hard work of articulating it, this is feminine saying, I don't want you to change for me. This is a feminine energy saying, you have to understand and recognize the only way you fix this is if you do it for yourself, because it makes life profoundly better. So for a lot of the feminine energy doing this right now, this is feminine literally saying to masculine, do this for you. Do this for you. Right? And if the masculine isn't able to recognize that, this is feminine saying, I hope one day you understand what I'm saying. And that day, when that day comes, I'll know, because you'll be the first one to tell me. Well, for the feminine masculine energy that's going through this right now, if this is a masculine pushing a feminine away and saying, again, we are on different paths. You're trying to change too much for me. I can see it. You're getting yourself all twisted up in knots. You're moving off of your own path. This is the masculine saying, I have to let you go at this point with all of the love of my heart. It's hurting me to do so. It's emotionally overwhelming, but that's a masculine saying, but I know that it's the best thing, and maybe our paths will be in better alignment someday. Where are these energies going? They're all moving in the same direction right now, right? You're just letting that moment, that act of release and surrender, move you back towards the energy that's doing same. Masculine and feminine energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. This is that, the best thing I can describe this as is when you walk into the divine union frequency, it's recognizing that it's not a closed door. All doors are open. And it's that moment that you kind of see with that clarity in terms of that path work in the past. It's more of that intentionality that focuses on, again, your own determination point in recognizing and realizing and saying this is my intentionality leading forth in this way. And even now what's happening is a lot of the energy that's coming into the divine union frequency. It's almost that recognition point, feeling the amplification of that intentionality and that purpose driving you forward. It can feel a little overwhelming. It can feel a little vulnerable. But what do we see? Even still, the door's open, but what is the energy doing? They're continuing forward with that intentionality of purpose as they continue forward towards this point. Masculine and feminine in the heart of the divine union frequency. this is that moment we see. There may have been a lot of difficult energetic discussions over the last few days. There may have been some moments right now of, again, looking at anything that feels like it was too overwhelming. But what has been the energy doing right now in the divine union frequency? Almost amplifying the fact that you only have so much bandwidth. You only have so much energetic, like, there's only so much energy, right? Because this is that difference that we're seeing that's happening right now that's frustrating for some of the energy in the divine union frequency, which is recognizing, like, what you aspire to do versus what is potentially possible at this time. So what is the energy of the divine union doing right now? Planning, right? Coming into that release process, releasing and letting go of what doesn't serve to focus on what does, but keeping very committed in terms of the path forward, to almost say, like, anything we can't do now, it's just not a question of not being able to do something, it's a question of when, right? That intentionality of purpose that is coming through with a point of, like, instead of the breakthrough so much for the energy in the heart of the divine union, it feels more like a sense of discernment and planning. Continuing on these cards right now between our Eight of Cups in combination with our Four of Pentacles. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Four of Cups and its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're seeing right now for the masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, it's just a point of prioritization right now. And what we saw and identified, that a lot of the work that we saw over the last week or so has been masculine and feminine having different different ways to get to the same manifestation goal. So what is this energy doing in the divine union frequencies? Is saying to someone like, no, you can't do that, we're doing it my way? No, that's not happening. That's not the divine union frequency. It is ascertaining what is feasible, what is practical, what one can do now versus what needs to wait. It is a prioritization act, right? That ability to prioritize and to come into a point of moderation right now, that's basically having your cake and getting to eat it too. But it's almost that moment of being like, well, we can have the cake, we just can't eat all the cake at once. We're going to have a slice here, a slice there. It's allowing that planning to come in. Masculine and feminine that are coming into the divine union frequency. This is that weight of the choice that you're making right now, but it's almost that, like, energetic feeling that is incredibly intentional. And it may even be that moment of recognizing and realizing that you didn't necessarily recognize and understand, like, what it felt like or what it would really feel like when you're in that modality with someone. Because that moment is like, oh, it's not something you can give someone. It's not something you can give someone. You need to find someone that's already moving in that way. And recognizing and identifying that's almost like that moment that feels like that point of understanding. It can create a lot of clarity in terms of the path work past. For masculine, it has a lot to do with the way that you are moving intentionally and your own intentional movements. For feminine, it has more to do with potentially moving too much in a modality where you're blaming yourself for energy that wasn't moving in that alignment. Masculine and feminine energy coming that are in separation. This is the holding out of hope that one has potentially if you're moving into separation with someone, saying again, I'm releasing this, but I hope they understand that I'm not letting this go. It's my aspiration, intentionality of someone coming back in a better way. But also that point that feels so painful, because that's that moment that, like, this is how we carry hope, but also don't stay waiting, right? This is the energy that says, I love you. I hope one day you've learned this, but I can't wait for you here. I need to move forward. I can't just stay here because I know the place that you are not going to be healed is here. I know that path leads ahead. I need to move forward, and I don't know what's going to happen on that way, but rest assured, I know that is the direction that the hope exists. So that hope is driving a lot of energy forward right now, because that's that moment of saying the aspiration of who I hope someone to be doesn't exist here. They exist tomorrow. That hope lives tomorrow, because clearly, if you're not seeing it in the present, you got to say to yourself, well, if it's not here, I can't go back. So the only existence where that energy may be healed is that away. So you commit yourself forward, you continue forward. So a lot of this energy, that is what's helping motivate a lot of the energetic path work here. That's that moment of holding hope, but also being able to release, right? That it feels a little, I know it sounds a little confounding, but if you get it, you get it. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Hangman in its reversal and our Five of Swords. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Magician. Masculine and feminine energy, in separation. This is that moment that allows for a little bit of that ray of sunshine to come in, even if you're doing something that is hard or difficult right now. Because I know I can see that energetically, a lot of the energy doing this work right now, it feels energetically painful. It feels heavy. It feels like, look, we had the amplification of it's not fair coming through, like on Friday when we were doing our reading. But this is that moment of saying, it isn't fair, but there's a world where it will be fair, and that's a world that way, right? That's that moment of someone saying, I'm going to do what I need to take to make it fair. And hopefully they're going to do what they need to take, and hopefully we can find ourselves forward in this way. That is the energy of effectively, like, again, not allowing oneself to be resigned to a situation, but almost saying, this is not a place that I'm resigning myself. This is the fertile ground through which I'm trying to build my aspiration of what could exist. So we see that for a lot of the energy, even in separation, moving in this modality, it's like looking back, it's looking at the situation, potentially even with the person right now being like, well, I can't go back to that. This is awful, right? But the connection to someone saying, I hope that moving forward, there will be a place and space that it won't be awful, that energy will have done that work. If this is feminine, saying, I hope that there's a masculine that learns how to express their emotions instead of subjecting emotions. For masculine, that's that moment of saying, I hope there's a space or place where being with me doesn't require someone to change so much internally that they lose themselves. Both of these energies moving forward in that capacity with that highest purpose. That is almost the manifestation goal. And the manifestation goal is almost that song that says, either that energy will change or I will find that, right? That's that moment of saying, I care, but I need to hold on to what I aspire for. I either aspire that person to hopefully change, not forcing them to change. Maybe the day will come that they will, or I will find that in another that is also committed to that same energy, to that same manifestation. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the energy that is feeling the full weight of the perception of looking back on the past and having all of these new optics. Is the energy running back to the past? No. Why isn't the energy running back to the past right now? Because they're looking and saying, you are the place and space that gave me this clarity. You gave me this clarity. I didn't have this clarity until there's the energetic connection here. That's the affirmation of saying, yes, I can look back at the past with new perception without running back towards it. Because that's that moment of saying, the clarity came here. This is the energy of being in the divine union. I'm not going to run out of the divine union. That's that moment of just feeling it and allowing that be a moment that like reaffirms the commitment of the energetic path work. Because this is the energy committing to themselves and saying, the counterpart energy, we're doing this together. It's always hard. There's always the opportunity at any time to go back to the past. We make that firm, resolute connection. We make that firm, resolute why can't this word come out today? This firm, resolute commitment to ourselves to continue to move forward in this capacity. It's the Pisces moon. Okay. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now for the energy that's in the heart of the divine union. This modality that we're effectively experiencing, this is that moment. I told you, it felt like a lot of this energetic spring cleaning that's happening for a lot of the energy in the heart of the divine union right now. It's looking at things, asking oneself, what is taking up too much bandwidth? What needs to be energetically released? What needs to be taken on, right? A lot of this, it's like the repacking of the bags, if you will, all to allow for an easement, to allow for more abundance to come in, right? That's it. You have to put something away to make more room for something, right? So that's that moment that we see now, like a lot of the energy in the divine union is either doing this in a tangible way or in a metaphysical way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Swords and our Nine of Wands in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. A lot of planning for the energy in the divine union frequency right now. I'm telling you right now, either plans are being laid energetically, plans are being laid tangibly. A lot of path work that's focusing on the future, which is interesting because look, what is the energy in the divine union doing? They are looking at the past with a sense of openness, clarity, honesty. I told you that harsh eye. I told you that clear mirror that sometimes feels like it's a little, having those difficult conversations over the last few weeks, showing each other blind spots, all for the sake of renewed productivity, further amplification, being able to move forward in more productive ways. This is the efficiency. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. This is that breakthrough point. That is that perceptual shift that you're having that's giving you clarity on the past in a way that you haven't before. Are you running back to the past? No. In fact, someone's recognizing and seeing you and saying, oh, wow, that clarity, like this is where I found it and this is how we're going to continue forward. Like that is that moment that almost feels like that, like rushing forward, if you will, even as you're holding space for the clarity of the past. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. This is what's beautiful about this, because this is the energy that's in separation, not closing a door on someone because they feel like they don't, this isn't coming from a lack of love or a lack of care. This is almost creating that moment of excitement, of saying to oneself, you know what? I've done everything else. That is all I can do. I've said everything I can say. I'm even potentially telling someone that this is what's happening, and this is that aspiration or hope, and saying they will find me that way. They know the direction if they're in that same modality when they're ready to heal. Feminine's almost articulating that with masculine energy, especially if there's masculine energy that, again, has not learned the ability of that emotional intelligence to be able to communicate how they're feeling instead of subjecting others to it. Masculine, if this was a moment of a feminine not being able to come into alignment with your true version of self, this is the masculine saying to the feminine, when our bridges cross, you know where to find me. It'll be that way. All of this energy, though, potentially, look at this. Meeting others on the way in the modality of making that difficult choice. So a lot of new connections potentially forming right now. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Nine of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Four of Cups in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through. And that is the beauty of this right now for a lot of the energy and separation, because again, this is almost that moment that's amplifying for a lot of that energy and separation, saying like, don't misunderstand me. This is that moment that is almost, again, this is the healing gesture that allows someone the peace and security of stability of feeling like they can move forward while still leaving room for the past. Because we see here that a lot of this energy that's potentially encountering each other on the way now is almost saying like, yes, I had to close a chapter with someone, did everything that I could do, put all that path work in, and finally the only thing I could think that would come forward, the only thing I thought that would allow for healing of another energy was to move into that point of release. For the feminine, that's that moment of saying, like, again, they need to learn how to heal on their own before they come to me. It's not my job to heal an energy. For the masculine, it's saying, I was seeing someone that was making themselves sick trying to come towards me. They were contorting themselves too much to be with me. They were twisting themselves in knots. They were bringing themselves into that negative space. I had to release them for the sake of their own self. Both of these energies now basically like coming together in this moment, potentially finding themselves in this modality, even as they're coming, the separation that's now leading into like new energetic opportunities. Masculine and feminine that are coming into divine union. this clarity, this understanding, you're both experiencing it. You may even be articulating it. You may be talking about how being in connection with one another has changed your perception on things. And that is the beauty of being open with one another. It's not that you just pretend the past never happened. You articulate on the past. You expound upon the past. That is the bridge that you're building between one another. And it leads to that deepening opening. It's like the more you work through this together, the more you recognize you're going through a lot of the same. Masculine and feminine that are in the heart of the divine union frequency. One of the things that we're energetically seeing here is this is that, I want to say the energetic shedding, if you will. This is a lot of that spring cleaning energy that we're seeing right now, and it's amplifying in terms of the prioritization of the path work, right? This is really saying to me that the energy of the divine union frequency is saying there's not the fact that there isn't a multiple amount of things that you can do. It's more ascertaining what needs to be done and in what order and when. So a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is navigating what feels like a surfeit of things that they desire or aspire to do by prioritizing, by planning, to almost like get the work ahead of them, if you will, so that way they don't feel as much energetic or spiritual exhaustion thinking about all the things that they desire and aspire to do while in the divine union frequency. Clarification between our Magician and our Eight of Wands. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. This is the healing gesture. The energy in the divine union frequency is utilizing this gift of prioritization and planning to help facilitate deepening healings of the connection. Right? We saw that some of the energy over the last few days of the divine union frequency, it wasn't due to a lack or desire or aspiration in terms of coming to a manifestation goal. It had to do with the prioritization of the how. So what has the energy been doing right now in the divine union frequency? They're articulating on the how, finding that point that feels comfortable so that there is more of a clarity going forward. Right? That's the clarity of being able to lay out the pathwork of a plan. So a lot of planning right now potentially for the energy in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy coming into the divine union frequency. This is the healing gesture in terms of recognizing and understanding everything that may have led to the past for you coming here into that energetic frequency. That leads to a breakthrough, and it's almost amplifying and expediting a lot of that energy that is coming into the divine union frequency. You're moving into it a lot faster right now, specifically due to the fact that you're recognizing that this, whatever that was in the past, that wasn't healing you. Wherever you had this breakthrough, you just found the energy that's healing you. They've just found the energy that's creating those like breakthroughs for you. That is the energy you should move forward with, even if you're feeling like at the moment that you discover them, a lot of the past opens up. You're like, well, my perception has shifted because you're with this energy. So that's that moment. It's like, why would I go anywhere else? You're the one that like opened my eyes to this, right? That's that moment of seeing and feeling the alignment. It's heart expanding, but it's also healing. Masculine and feminine energy that are in separation. This is the fact that we see so much of this energy right now that's moving into separation. And I have to stress, this is not energy that's like separating from someone to be like, oh, I'm going to teach them a lesson. I'm going to hurt them by not being with them. No. This is the energy that's doing that really difficult work of saying, I am letting you go because I hope in my heart of hearts that this is what is going to facilitate the healing. And that's that hard path work. Because even now we see that a lot of the energy has asked themselves. They've literally said, I am out of options. I can't think of anything else I can do. I've done everything I can. This is all that is left I can do. So that is that moment of saying, I am releasing you with like every gift in my, like every feeling in my heart of hope, that doing so may lead you to recognize and understand and come into a state of better growth going forward. And that's the energy saying, and even if it's not with me, I hope I'm giving you this gift for the sake of your own person. That is that moment of saying, like, I love you and I'm releasing you because I know that that is what is going to facilitate your healing, or at the very most that that is the direction, that is the only space I can see that the healing can come towards you. Continuing to get clarification. And what is the energy doing the minute you do that? You heal yourself in the process. You heal yourself in the process. That's the moment that you heal your own heart by moving into that moment. Because that is the ultimate gift, saying, I'm willing to let you go for the sake, not because I desire you under any condition, but because I say there's not under any condition. There's a limit, and I'm not moving forward in a way of having you that prevents you from healing. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Eight of Wands in combination with our Two of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, this is it. This is the aspiration of the manifestation of the masculine. I told you what was happening for a lot of the feminine energy that was going through this process of release. It was feeling like you were surrendering the aspiration that you had of someone that you didn't feel was coming into existence. Potentially even feeling that moment of saying, I don't even know if that version of them that I thought of is even true. This is the moment of the feminine saying, it is true. There's a world in which that energy can become that person. And that's almost the feminine saying, the only way I can allow for that aspiration of hope of that person becoming who I aspire and desire them to be in my own head is if I let them move forward into the space or place in the future where they might become that. So we see even now for a lot of the feminine energy, this is basically the feminine saying, I am holding on to that manifestation of what I desired and aspired for. But this is either the feminine saying, it is my aspiration that it'll come back in that person, them doing that work for themselves, not for me, and coming back in that capacity. Or perhaps I will find that energetic counterpart on the way forward as I wait for that manifestation, because that's the feminine saying, I am working towards that manifestation. And what is feminine finding on the way? The manifestation of the masculine, that is doing that same work. Here's the masculine energy that's doing that same work. This is masculine energy that just made the difficult choice of conquering their own passion center. Moving away from someone that they felt a lot of passion for, but they saw they were hurting in partnership, saw them contorting or twisting too much to try to please the masculine or come into the masculine's path. The masculine saying, I can't navigate a space like this. I'm releasing you even against my own passion center for you to facilitate healing, is a masculine who comes into control of their own passion center. And here is the masculine that is now in separation. And here's the feminine. So you see, when you move in the direction of the alignment, you will find the energy that is moving same. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This observation point, this recognition, if you will, of what it was in your power to fix versus feeling like you were moving against the current. That is that emotional equivalent right now that is the breakthrough point for a lot of the energy coming into divine union frequency. For a lot of the feminine energy, that's a releasing of a karmic burden, feeling like that sense that you were moving against the current, potentially trying to move with energy that wasn't in alignment with you in terms of your manifestation goals. For masculine, this is that modality of recognizing that when you let your passion center guide you everywhere, you ended up going nowhere. So what is the energy right now having? These are the two different energetic breakthroughs right now that are happening for the energy coming into divine union that is reaffirming the commitment in terms of coming into the divine union frequency with the deepening of understanding of two energies that I just described have encountered one another. Someone who has, again, conquered their passion center, moves with intentionality, and a feminine energy moving with a masculine energy that desires the same intention, that has the same intention as the feminine, which is to stay in the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine energy that are in the heart of the divine union frequency. This is that recognition point in terms of identifying what feels like it can come into a point of modification but prioritization at the same time. The energy right now in the divine union frequency is working through a lot of that path work in terms of identifying what feels like you can do it now versus what needs to be done later. It's all about the prioritization. So we see that masculine and feminine energy are doing a lot of this work together. And even now, what we're recognizing and identifying is, even at this moment where masculine is going through some periods of feeling some kind of energetic overwhelm, what is happening in the space or place of masculine allowing themselves to feel that emotional overwhelm? New productive pathways, new ideas, new opportunities. That's that moment of masculine recognizing the value of power, of identifying that when you allow yourself to feel your emotions and not just throw them around at everybody, not just subject others to them, then it becomes a source of inspiration, right? Feminine energy working through this as well. The feminine energy moving in this modality of seeing a masculine that has mastered their own ability of maintaining a point of balance in their own emotional center. This is the feminine energy feeling the security and stability of a masculine, identifying and recognizing that even when they feel that emotional overwhelm, this is a masculine that never allows that to be a moment of like subjecting others to that emotional expression. This is a masculine that's learned the power of recognizing how to articulate through it. So feminine feeling that same sense of accomplishment, because this is the feminine who feels that work is almost, again, just as the masculine felt like they were teaching the feminine resilience, this is the gift that the feminine feels like they've been teaching the masculine, how to navigate through those emotionalities. Final card for today's spread, between our Three of Swords in its reversal in combination with our King of Wands. One card to clarify, please. Clarification in our Ace of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is that modality that we're effectively seeing right now that feels, to a certain extent, like that point of energetic release. Masculine and feminine energy right now. What we are identifying, and this is what's really interesting, is looking in the divine union frequency and identifying and recognizing what you need to do and what you aspire to do, and just trying to figure out the best path work in relationality to what needs to come before what next thing. So for the masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This ability to recognize and ascertain where you want to put your energy right now, where you want to put your effort. This is that moment that is allowing for a lot of that heaviness that we saw over the last few weeks, a lot of that back and forth. This is that reaffirmation and that recommitment, if you will, because now it's that moment that once you have that plan in place, it's like you can kind of get back down to business, if you were. So masculine is going through this modality right now that we're effectively seeing energetically, that even going through that moment of feeling that overwhelm, what's masculine doing right now? This is the masculine finally getting back into the tangible. This is the masculine allowing themselves to feel the energetic overwhelm, not letting it overwhelm them. Instead, utilizing that as a point of productivity and communication that is building further stability, right? That is the practical application coming in. Feminine, seeing a masculine doing that to a certain capacity, is feeling that you have effectively done that for the masculine. That's that moment of feeling a point of confidence for the feminine, because this is that feminine energy saying I feel that confidence, in terms of someone feeling like that's the energy of the feminine going, I did that. That's something that I did. And that's a feminine almost giving themselves an energetic pat on the back, if you will, because that is the feminine energy that's effectively saying, to a certain extent, I recognize and identify that this is a masculine that is healing as I am healing. And these are the energies acting as a clear mirror to one and the other to be able to facilitate that. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union frequency. This is that breakthrough point. This is a masculine that had that perceptual shift that potentially happened as they were coming into the divine union frequency. Did it make the masculine run back into the past? No. This was a masculine that recognized the value and power of the energy that brought that forth in them and is reaffirming their own commitment for that exact moment, because that's a moment of masculine saying, my perception changing here means that this is a space and place that I'm healing. I'm not going anywhere. Feminine seeing and experiencing that feels that stability and also feels that moment of, again, feminine also being steadfast in that same point. Feminine also feeling the value and power of creating a space or place where the masculine feels comfortable enough to move in that modality. So this is, again, the feminine feeling the security and stability of coming into the divine union frequency with a masculine that's effectively showing that they're not being like, this is a masculine that's almost like saying, I desire to be here. Like, it's not something that the feminine feels like they have to like pull the masculine into, because this is the masculine moving with the intentionality of being in the same modality. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, what we're effectively identifying is the energy that is in separation is going through a modality right now that, again, this is that hard work, making that hard choice, but almost feeling, again, that act of love in terms of moving away from someone and saying, I wish you the best. I'm doing this for the sake and value and power of your own healing. This is masculine feeling like at this moment coming into power with their own passion center, recognizing and identifying that when one moves with intentionality, that is that moment of controlling your own passions that allows for that sense of intentionality. So we see that a lot of this feels like a personal journey for the masculine energy experiencing this. While for feminine energy, in this modality, that ability to almost say, I am trying to heal a masculine by releasing them, by letting them go for the hope and the aspiration that when they find themselves, they will know that this is why I did that work. This is why I was able to let them go. They will hopefully understand what I'm trying to do in this way, is again a feminine saying, I can hold hope for this energy to come back in this way, but I'm also not waiting for that energy, because that is the aspiration of the manifestation that the energy is staying focused and committed on. Bottom of the deck on this reading is, at the same time, all of this is happening with everyone's abandonment wounds coming up to the surface. So again, navigating the abandonment wounds are going to be very tricky right now, because what happens when we start feeling a lot of emotionality, a lot of our deepest anxieties and our deepest fears can come crawling out of the woodwork at the same time. How do we navigate those? We address them. We address them in practical ways to say to ourselves, is this a valuable, necessary fear or anxiety, or is this something that feels like it is rising to the surface because it is the expression of some deep-laid anxiety, some deep-laid fear, something that I need to effectively process or work through? So we see that for a lot of the energy in this modality right now, navigating the abandonment wounds can feel very overwhelming. Make sure that you're staying grounded. Make sure that you're staying centered, especially masculine energy right now, especially if you're moving through your King of Cups and its reversal. Make sure that if you're feeling an emotional overwhelm, you are putting it in practical spaces and places, and you're not just moving into the modality of unhealed coping mechanisms. That is our daily collective read for today. Thank you so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, GraceStrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing with me in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.